Right, welcome back to the BFG. Today we are going to be reading my favorite chapter in this whole book, and maybe in all books ever. It's the most fun chapter ever. Frobscottle and Whiz Poppers. Okay, let's go back a little bit. Sophie in the cave with the BFG. The blood bottler comes, tries to find out who the BFG's talking to. Doesn't find Sophie. They are lucky and Sophie doesn't get killed by the blood bottler. Go back and remember that Sophie's an orphan from England. She lives in an orphanage. The BFG kidnapped her because she saw the BFG one night while he was blowing dreams into the window. Okay, then come back. Frobscottle and Whiz Poppers. By now, Sophie was beginning to feel not only extremely hungry, but very thirsty as well. Had she been at home, she would have had finished her breakfast long ago. Are you sure there's nothing else to eat around here except those disgusting, smelly snozzcumbers? She asked. Not even a Fizzwinkle, answered the big friendly giant. In that case, may I please have a little bit of water? She said. Water? Said the BFG, frowning mightily. What is water? We drink it, Sophie said. What do you drink? Frobscottle, said the BFG. All giants is drinking Frobscottle. Is it as nasty as Snozzcumbers? Sophie asked. Nasty? Cried the BFG. Never is it nasty. Frobscottle is sweet and jumbly. He got up from his chair and went to the second huge cupboard. He opened it and took out a glass bottle that must have been at least 6 feet tall. The liquid inside was a pale green, and the bottle was half full. Here's Frobscottle, he cried, holding the bottle up proud and high, as though it contained some rare wine. Delumptuous, fizzy Frobscottle, he shouted. He gave it a shake, and the green stuff began to fizz like mad. But look! It's fizzing the wrong way, Sophie cried. And indeed it was. The bubbles, instead of traveling upwards and bursting on the surface, were shooting downwards and bursting at the bottom. A pale green frothy fizz was forming at the bottom of the bottle. What on earth are you meaning the wrong way? Asked the BFG. In our fizzy drink, Sophie said, the bubbles always go up and burst at the top. Upwards is the wrong way, cried the BFG. You mustn't ever be having bubbles going upwards. Hang on, I gotta plug my phone in. Don't go anywhere. Oh, stay right there. Okay, there we go. Sorry, battery's low. Upwards is the wrong way. You mustn't ever be having bubbles going upwards. That's the most flesh-bunking rubbish I was ever hearing. Why do you say that? Sophie asked. You was asking me why, cried the BFG, waving the enormous bottle around as though he were conducting an orchestra. You was actually meaning to tell me you cannot see why it is a scrawny mistake to have the bubble flying up instead of down. You said it was flush-bunking. Now you're saying it's scrawny. Which one is it? Sophie asked politely. Both, cried the BFG. It is a flush-bunking and a scrawny mistake to let the bubbles go upwards. If you can't see why, you must be as quacky as a duck-hound. By Ringo, your head must be so full of frog-swinkers and buzzwangers. I's frittered if I know how you can think at all. Why shouldn't the bubbles go upward? Sophie asked. I will explain, he said. But tell me first, what name is you calling your Frobscottle by? Oh. Here's a picture of the BFG holding the giant bottle of Frobscottle. Well, one of our drinks is Coke, and the other is Pepsi. There's lots of them, actually, Sophie told him. And the bubbles is all going up? Well, they all go up, she told him. Catastrophe, cried the BFG. Upgoing bubbles is a catastrophe. Will you please tell me why? Sophie asked. If you will listen carefully, I will try to explain. But your brain is so full of bug whiffles, I doubt you will ever understand. Well, I'll do my best, Sophie said, patiently. Very well, then. When you was drinking the cokey drink of yours, said the BFG, it is going straight down in your tummy. Is that right, or is it left? That's right, Sophie said. And the bubbles is also going into your tummy, right or left? Well, that's right again, Sophie said. And the bubbles is fizzing upwards? Of course, Sophie told him. Which means, he said, that they will all come swish-whiffling up your throat and out your mouth and make a foulsome belchy burp. That is often true, Sophie told him. But what's wrong with a little burp now and again? It's sort of fun. Burping is filthsome. Us giants is never doing it, said the BFG. But with your drink, Sophie said, the bubbles in your tummy will be going downwards, and that could have a far nastier result. Why nasty? Asked the BFG, frowning. Because, Sophie said, as she blushed, if they go down instead of up, they'll be coming out somewhere else with an even louder and ruder noise. A whiz popper, cried the BFG, beaming at her. Us giants is making whiz poppers all the time. Whiz popping is a sign of happiness. It is music in our ears. You surely is not telling me that a little whiz popping is forbidden among human beings. Well, it's considered extremely rude, Sophie told him. But you is whiz popping, is you not? Now and again, he asked. Everyone is whiz popping, if that's what you call it, Sophie said. Kings and queens are whiz popping, presidents are whiz popping, glamorous film stars are whiz popping, and little babies are whiz popping. But where I come from, it's not polite to talk about it. Redunculous, said the BFG. If everyone is making whiz poppers, then why not talk about it? We is now having a swiggle of this delicious frobscottle, and you will see the happy result. The BFG shook the bottle vigorously. The pale green stuff fizzled and bubbled. He removed the cork and took a tremendous gulping swig. It's glummy, he said. I love it. For a few minutes, the BFG stood quite still, and a look of absolute ecstasy began to spread over his long, wrinkly face. Then suddenly the heavens opened, and he let fly with a series of the loudest and rudest noises Sophie ever heard in her life. They reverberated around the walls of the cave like thunder, and glass jars rattled on their shelves. Most astonishing of all, the force of the explosions actually lifted the enormous giant clear off his feet like a rocket. Now, let's stop right there. Do you know what a whiz popper is? Well, I'll give you a hint. That's what some of them sound like. Some of them sound even more like... Do you know now? Let's keep going. Whoopee! He cried when he came down to earth again. Now, that is whiz popping for you. Sophie burst out laughing. She couldn't help it. Have some yourself, cried the BFG, tipping the neck of the enormous bottle towards her. Don't you have a cup? Sophie asked. No cups, only bottle. Sophie opened her mouth, and very gently the BFG tipped the bottle forward and poured some of the fabulous frobscottle down her throat. And oh, how delicious it was. It was sweet and refreshing. It tasted of vanilla and cream with just the faintest trace of raspberries on the edge of the flavor, and the bubbles, oh, they were wonderful. Sophie could actually feel them bouncing and bursting all around her tummy. It was an amazing sensation. It felt as though Hundreds of tiny people were dancing a jig inside her and tickling her with her toes. It was lovely. It's lovely, she cried. Just wait, said the BFG, flapping his ears. Sophie could feel the bubbles traveling lower and lower and lower down her tummy. And then, suddenly, inevitably, the explosion came. The trumpet sounded, and she too made the walls of the cavern ring with the sound of music and thunder. Here is a picture of the whiz-popping BFG as it blows him up into the air. Bravo! Shouted the BFG, waving the bottle. You is very good for a beginner. Let's have some more. Okay, and we'll stop right there for today. My favorite chapter of all time. Frobscottle and whiz-popping. Join me for the next part. Sophie and the BFG are going to go on a journey, and we will find out what happens in the next part of the story. See you next time.